Nice night.
Pizza dude's got 30 seconds.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Foodies Watching Movies. I'm your host Nate. Today, as always, joined by Veronica. How's it going?
Hey, Nate.
What's up?
Oh, not much.
Also joining us, as always, Puhrboy. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you guys doing? It's good to be back.
Good.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. It's been a while.
You took one off.
Yeah,
That's okay. You're our odd numbers guy.
I know.
1 and 3, and then maybe you'll be off for 4, but probably not.
We'll see how
And
this
then
goes.
5, and then
Yeah.
that'd be a really weird,
I'm an every other.
You're like, that's just your continuity, is that you just show up on the odds.
Yeah.
Never the evens, always the odds, Last time we were on, we had Brando on.
Yeah, that was fun.
We did 89 Batman. And, it was a really good experience. And I think today we decided we were going to try a different kind of formula for our show. Usually we have a movie on while we're talking. Today we do have a movie on, but it's just background noise.
Well, yeah, we decided to put on the first Addams Family.
It is like
since it's
Halloween
Halloween.
time.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
I hope this is out before Halloween's over. I'll have to rush this to Brandon by
Oh,
tomorrow.
well,
Shit.
well,
Retrospectively Halloween.
Yeah.
Right? So today we got a bunch of different things to talk about involving Halloween.
yeah.
Food related stuff. We watched a film as a part of the formula before we came on, so it's something you haven't seen, AP, and now you're going to be able to speak on that.
Oh yeah.
Where do we start today?
Well, do you want to just go ahead and talk about what we just watched, since you were just talking about it?
We can. I want to save it. It's like kind of the main segment of the show, obviously.
Okay, well, do you want to talk about anything, like the new shows that we've seen? Anything new
any
that we want to
movies?
talk about?
Have you seen anything recently?
Yeah.
The most recent movie I saw was The Accountant with Ben Affleck.
I was told that was surprisingly good, but I haven't seen it.
It was really good. Like, it was an interesting combination film between like A Beautiful Mind meets like, I can't even think of a comparison, but it's like A Beautiful Mind meets like James Bond. It's
And that's Ben Affleck, right?
yeah, who's the buffest accountant I've ever seen.
Well, he was also being Batman at
Right.
that time, so
Yep.
no choice.
And his chemistry with Anna Kendrick makes you hope for she could come in as a Cara Kelly Robin would be pretty awesome.
Ooh.
Or Carrie Kelly.
I don't know what it is about Anna Kendrick, but she just bugs me sometimes. Like, I want to love her, I really do, but she just kind of gets on my nerves.
She rubs you the wrong way.
Sometimes. I don't know. I don't know what it is about her.
Never rub another man's rhubarb.
What?
89 Batman.
My God.
Yeah, that's
Deep
Nicholson.
cuts.
Yeah.
Of course, the deep cut.
Yeah.
So you saw The Accountant recently.
Would you
Yes.
recommend it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been recommending everyone who's asked about a movie that's coming
What would
out.
your rating be?
Ooh,
Did you see this in theaters?
I did.
Okay,
And
so it's still really new.
It was a big.
It's still in theaters.
It's out in the big theater, which was. I would. I'd go probably 6 or 7 pizza slices.
Wow,
Okay,
that's
okay.
strong.
Yeah,
That's
I
a solid
couldn't- I
pizza.
couldn't find. I'd have to watch it again and really pull out some faults with it. It's even got the new Punisher in it, John Byrne.
John Bernthal.
Man, was he ever good?
Yeah.
We were just talking about that earlier, about Punisher.
Yeah.
And how we're excited for the new Netflix show. But we have a ton of stuff to catch up on. We haven't watched Jessica Jones, and we haven't watched Luke Cage.
They're all so good.
There's too many good things.
I know, we
It's so
started
hard.
Jessica
It's
Jones,
such a hard
but-
time to be a nerd. Because there's too much.
There's movies,
Yeah.
the TV shows.
God, yeah, and then we've got
it's-
The Flash, and we've got Arrow, and Legends, and all of these great
Supergirl.
shows.
If you want to watch it
Gotham.
live, you controls your whole week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Yeah.
Thursday. And you got Netflix on week. It's just
And
Yeah.
then you've also got
You're
The Walking
covered.
Dead on Sundays, Game of Thrones on Sundays, Doctor Who's on Saturdays.
yeah. You could
I mean-
your TV could own your whole week if,
If
you were
don't have a
committed.
schedule for how to watch all that,
Yeah.
it
Right.
just falls apart. And to get behind on a lot of it, which we are right now,
Yeah, we're a little behind
it's
on
gonna be
our
a
shows. our
We're
stories.
gonna have to power through the stories.
Yeah.
You know, maybe today we'll after this podcast.
Yeah, maybe we'll
watch
catch up on the
7 or 8
Flash.
different episodes we've got to watch. Have you seen anything recently, movie wise?
Have I? Oh,
It's
I
weird
would have
asking
to
you that because I
think.
feel like I know the answer is no, but
Well,
maybe.
I haven't seen anything new, really.
But I mean, have you even seen anything like, let's say, on Netflix or Hulu that's something you haven't seen before that you on your own time watched?
No. I mean, I have a little child who's turning 3 next week, and we've got this band that we're doing, and we've got a lot of stuff going on. So I haven't had a whole lot of time to watch anything. Sarah and I watched American Psycho the other day, and I would definitely say that that's worth watching around Halloween.
Okay, I like that. I still, I know that you're shocked, but I haven't seen that.
I cannot believe that you've never seen American Psycho.
I know, it's just...
Should we talk about the realization what you had today about realizing about Matt Smith?
Oh my God! Yes. So we were sitting around the table earlier, and we were talking about American Psycho and how we opened with it at our show last night because we're doing a Misfits tribute band on pianos and stuff, and we decided to do American Psycho, and we had just watched this movie like last week or so, and so it was still fresh in our brains, and then we were just innocently scrolling on Facebook and saw that Matt Smith was from Doctor Who, was on the Broadway musical of American Psycho. And we couldn't find any videos of it, but the pictures were very telling, and it was really cool looking.
Yeah, I think he would make a great...
He would make a great
better
Patrick
than Christian
Bateman.
Bale character.
No, I don't know. He was perfect. I feel like that movie is the perfect portrait of like a psychopath,
You know what's really weird is I have like a big, like, I wouldn't even call it hatred. It's just like, I don't get how Christian Bale is successful.
Oh my
I
God.
hate him as an actor. I think he's
Rude.
been terrible in everything.
Did you see
Wow.
I mean, maybe that's
And
a
you
little-
loved
did you see that
the
new movie
Batman
he was
movies.
in, the Big Short?
I haven't seen it yet.
That was probably the least favorite role for him in a movie, I think. It just didn't fit him, but it was still a good movie otherwise.
See, Nate, I'm going to have to disagree with you because I've seen him in a lot of movies where he was just like stellar. Like he was in that movie, The Machinist, where he lost like a metric ton of weight, eating like tree bark for like a year or something. He was really, like, I think maybe you don't like that he's just so method.
No,
Because The Prestige was really good.
Oh, that was
American
a good-
Hustle was really good.
no,
Well, it was okay, but he was
think-
good in it.
I think that it comes down to I don't like his face.
Oh my God.
Like, maybe that's really
Wow,
vain of me, but I
that's so
genuinely don't
judgmental
like
of
Christian
you.
Bale's face.
You don't like his underbite?
I don't. There's something about it. I just don't like it. And I think he made for a shitty Batman. I know people are going to say,
Wow.
what? No way. Batman was amazing when he was in that movie, not because of Batman, but because of the fucking villains they used. They used Scarecrow, never been done before on the big
Yeah,
screen.
yeah.
They used an amazing Heath Ledger Joker, never been done again like that, never will be done again like that.
Those movies would be good to watch around Halloween, too.
True.
Those are good
They were
Halloween
kinda scary.
movies. Yeah.
And then they, fucked up royally and did Bane, and it was bad.
You just hate Tom Hardy. You just hate on everybody.
Connery.
You're just hating on everybody today.
I embrace the dark.
It was a better
Batman.
Bane than in the
That's true. Kinda true. He was a lot more visceral. I agree with that, but
not just full of green
He was like
liquid and
Hulk smash.
yeah, I don't like Christian Bale. I'm sorry.
Okay, so what were we talking about?
We were talking about recent things.
we were talking
watched.
about
What
American
what have
Psycho.
you-
Yeah,
What have you seen recently?
yeah, Nate.
Well, as you guys know, when it comes down to like watching movies, usually I've kind of like narrowed it down to like some people just like westerns. I really just like, for the most part, like comic book movies, obviously. But if I'm not watching a comic book movie, where do I go? How do I escape
Yeah.
that kind of a thing? Because that's so fanciful. I love documentaries, So I recently watched Man vs. Snake. It's a documentary on Netflix. You can watch it right now. It's about this guy with the worst name ever because his name is Tim McVeigh. Not the guy
yeah,
that
you were telling me about
not
this
the guy
movie.
that did the Oklahoma City bombings, but this kid that in 1983 set the world record. He was the first person to ever reach 1 billion points in this game called Nibbler. Now Nibbler is this like essentially like the Nokia phone game Snake, but it's a patterned level, kind of like, let's say, Pac-Man. But the whole thing is you can't hit your own tail. The game is extraordinarily easy once you start the patterns, but then it gets faster and faster and faster and faster, and you get longer and longer and longer and longer. And what happens is you have to marathon this game. It's a marathon game. You have to play for up to at least 40 hours to get 1 billion points without stopping.
Right.
And the only thing you can do is if you have to like take a pee break or you need to eat some food, you literally have to walk away from the machine and just hope you have enough lives to get through your break.
Wow.
Which you can easily build up a lot of lives. It's easy in the game to get upwards of 100. Well, he's 40 now. This kid who set the billion is 40, and he's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna break my own record. And then he finds out that someone in Italy has claimed that they broke the record 6 months after he was anointed champion. So he's lived his whole life thinking he's the greatest on Nibbler, and someone else has been also saying the same thing, claiming the title.
Yeah.
That dude who beat his record didn't want to have anything to do with it. But some other guy was like, oh, man, we're cool. We're good friends. Why don't we just both go to see who can do the 1 billion point challenge in Nibbler, and then whoever has the highest high score, wins. Hopefully we can beat your original record, which was nominal after 1 billion. It was like 1,000,2040 or something was the final tally. But yeah, they go for it, and the story just unfolds. It's very interesting to see this thing play out and how it physically just destroys these people. They talk about when you're at your 36th hour with no sleep, it's like having an LSD trip. So imagine playing a video game at hour 36 and having an LSD trip.
That'd be super trippy.
It'd mess you up,
Especially with the way the snake game is, which is all the...
Exactly.
Yeah, that graphic.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And it is exactly that. So yeah, like I said, I would definitely recommend that. That's like in documentary world, I would say that's like a solid 7 pizza slices. Like, it's not like... trying to think of like a better documentary to compare.
Not everyone's going to go watch that specific documentary
first. Yeah, correct. I wouldn't recommend that to you. Like, let's say I would recommend the Barkley Marathons, which another documentary we could talk about and unpack on a different podcast. Barkley Marathons is like a 9 pizza slice solid, telling thing that's really awesome. This is more of like a fun, mostly lighthearted thing. If you saw King of Kong, Billy Mitchell's in it, so you kind of can recognize some of the characters in the cast from this film. Yeah, so that's what I've been watching. Pretty much, that's it. You
like to watch a lot of those intense documentaries. I don't like watching that just because I get like so into it that it gives me anxiety.
Hold on. How do you mean intense though?
Well, weren't you telling me about something called like Into the Void or something like that?
Okay, hold on. Oh no, you're talking about Touching the Void.
Whatever, I don't know.
So Touching the Void is this awesome documentary.
He's told me about this like 10
really fast
times.
In 1984, these two guys decided that they were going to climb this really steep ice mountain in like the Alps, I think, or don't quote me on where it is. But I think it's in India maybe. So they climb it successfully. Everything's cool. They get to the top. They're the first people to ever do it, They're heading back down. And one of the dudes breaks his leg. Well, in ice climbing, if you break your leg, your partner is told to leave you there to die. Like there's because you physically can't risk your own life getting off the mountain,
right,
for another person because you'll both die. And then what's the point,
Cold-blooded. So
this guy takes it upon himself to save his buddy's life, and then shit just gets worse and worse for them as it progresses. And it has a really beautiful ending, like for real. But the documentary is really cool because it's told from I'm giving you an interview perspective, but then they do a really, really great job of supercutting reenactment to where it feels like you're witnessing those guys actually do the thing. And it gets intense. It's you're right. Touching the Void is an intense documentary. But Man vs. Snake is not. So, it is Halloween, as we said.
Yeah.
I got to ask you guys, start with AP first. If you could give a top 5 favorite horror movies or scary movies or...
movies to watch at Halloween.
Movies to watch during Halloween, however you want to characterize it. Movies that you enjoy around this time of year. What do you need? Oh, you need a pencil.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
I want to make my little list while he's talking.
She's making... Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. There's one off the bat that's not really I usually watch it 2 different seasons. I'm gonna have to go with The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay, cool.
My son and I just watched that a couple of days ago, and he was not amused. Because he's 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
It scared him a little bit, so I had to turn it off.
All right. That would be my first one. It's lighthearted, but it still has the little.
It's a little dark and creepy.
It's taking its own fun with all the holidays, and it's always a good watch at this time of year. Just because I just watched it recently, I have to go with the first Nightmare on Elm Street.
Awesome.
Ooh.
Just
Absolute
you
classic.
can never.
That
just-
movie makes me laugh so hard when he's like chasing the little blonde down the street with the giant like hands. you
Oh, I
know?
don't think it's so.
What was
cheesy.
her name? Tracy or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. And he's just like,
Nancy is the main character.
right.
Right,
Well,
but like
Oh, I
the
can't
dark,
think of
it's like
And
the
he, like,
effects we
cuts
have
off his
now.
fingers
Looking
in
at back
front of
then,
her.
you're like, it's like, oh my! It just looks like dudes are literally just holding and waving his arms for
Now,
him.
to dive in,
yeah, it was so funny.
you bring up that Nightmare, the original,
Yeah.
Robert Englund, Wes Craven. Did you see the newer one
Yes.
where they kind of re-envisioned the original movie and
Right.
took a lot of scenes directly from that movie? And,
Yeah,
and
they modernized it. Like a lot of like the bed scene, the girl getting chased, the classroom haunting. Yeah,
Yeah.
they took a lot of that stuff and
original's still better, right? I mean,
the remake might have had some better moments, they had better effects, and you can get more scared because it's not as cheesy, but it's still, you can't compete with the original.
no,
And to see a young Johnny Depp in his first actual acting role,
correct.
very unseasoned, but still has his charm that he's carried through the next 30 years of his life.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
So now number 3, I think we are for you.
Yeah, 3. Just because it always makes me laugh, Freddy versus Jason.
You know, it's really weird. I love that movie. I like the intro with Robert Englund's whole like
That was
monologue.
his last cinematic turn.
Freddy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And did they bring one of the original Jasons back? I don't know if it was the original, but it was one of the original. Like,
Okay, so it's really weird. I actually met the guy who is known as the first Jason, Ari Lehman. He has a band called First Jason because that's kind of like his bread and butter. His 15 Minutes of Fame was in the first original Friday the 13th. The monster that comes out and grabs at the end was him. But like that's all he's known for. He didn't really have a good acting career or whatever. But he was at Villains Con when we did episode 100 for Journey into Comics.
Oh.
And I met him and talked to him, and he was like a huge Judge Dredd fan, loves comic books. He was a really interesting character. And then alternately talking about Jason, like the big boy Jason. Kane Hodder was the original Jason.
oh, okay.
But I think Kane Hodder was the Jason for Freddy versus Jason.
Okay. Because it's just them fighting back and forth and just the humor of them like, she's mine, you can't have her. And just the whole, yeah, it's just a fun movie.
I agree. I
was always hoping there was going to get a sequel. They kind of left it open-ended, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
I always thought it would have been so neat if they would have done like Freddy versus Jason versus Pinhead, or Freddy versus Jason versus Michael Myers, or
Didn't
Freddy
they do
versus
one, like,
Jason
in
versus
space or
Chucky.
something?
That was Jason X.
Oh my god.
The Jason X's storyline was a little bit bizarre because it was like he was captured and then cryo froze to keep him from killing anymore, like in our time.
Oh my god.
And then the Earth,
That's so
hold on.
dumb.
And then the Earth, became no more because of pollution and everything, and the eventual heat death of our
so
universe.
deep.
But then people came back to Earth to mine and find things, and they brought the cryostasis of Jason onto their ship, and then he proceeds. We'll talk about it later, but that actually, Jason X has one of my opinion the greatest horror movie kills of all time.
I don't think I've seen Jason X.
It stands the test of time for sure. It's really weird, but so
That was 4.
4 for me. So this is my 4th pick. I have to go with the first Paranormal Activity, just because those kinds of
That was
the bumps
so
and like the ones that
scary.
just get you to, like, I jumped so many times seeing that movie.
that one's also very visceral.
My
Yeah.
sister
Well, those
was
just
like
seem
a teenager when that came out,
can
and
just-
she watched it with my mom and had to like sleep in my mom's bed
Like, you
with
can
her
just
for a while
see
because
it-
she was so scared. Because that
You
movie
can just
fucks
see
you up.
it happen. Like, it feels like it could easily happen. It's not one of those ones like
Yes.
the suspension of disbelief doesn't, like, it feels like
Right, because
you
that
can
could
just
be
go
real.
back to your room and then it could start happening, and just the whole
Not being
found
able to
camera
see
footage
it.
is a whole that was relatively new.
I mean,
when
it
that
only
was-
been done once before really well, which was Blair Witch.
Blair Witch.
Right.
Same people.
Yeah.
Same people
but
that
it just
did this.
they actually filmed it in the director's house, I believe.
Yes.
That's what. Which is how they got away with using it later. They didn't have to buy a house or rent a
Right.
house for it.
Right.
But yeah, it was very.
That was super scary.
Could you imagine filming that movie in your own home
And then going back,
and then sleeping in it?
like end of filming. like,
Yeah, because you're like, you know everything that's happening. You know,
Yeah, but I
but
mean-
still,
every trick
like,
that's
only
going
is like,
on.
you have a nightmare when I wake up and you're in that house. You're like, I need to go.
Yeah, like I need to step away from this.
And then, I just had my fifth one. Oh, When Darkness Falls.
No, I
I've
don't think,
never seen
I don't
that.
think I've seen When Darkness
It's
Falls.
the whole plot of the story is it's about the Tooth Fairy, which is kind of weird. So the Tooth Fairy wasn't actually not really like a great person. She does what she does, but if you see her, she will kill you.
Oh, I saw that movie. That scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. So
I did not like that movie. I was not
so
amused.
so the guy saw her when he was little, so he sleeps with all the lights on because
If the Tooth Fairy, if you see it, then she'll kill you.
she's hunting you down because she doesn't want to be seen. She's also not pretty. She has like a porcelain mask and
Oh.
I think
Yeah,
some-
so
I think
this
she
dude
got- I
like
think she
lives
got-
his life completely lit constantly, so there's no
like,
shadows and she can't
one
get
of the
him.
craziest,
It's super creepy.
which I might bring up later, but one of the craziest kills was like someone jumping from one spot to the other and just being ripped out, and it's
Ugh.
just like taken like she
Grody.
flew in and just took him out. It's
Oh.
But yeah, that movie, and then like to top it off, like after I watched that movie for the first time, I went back to my bedroom, power went out. Like
Oh,
that would just
scary.
that
Oh my god.
when I
No.
because I felt like when it
Yeah,
came
that's
out,
a
and
big
I was
fat
just
nope.
I was just done. I was awake. I'm not. Get the flashlight. I am not going anywhere.
You didn't run out of the room because that's my first
I
play.
Yeah, I ran. Like, Grant got a flashlight. That's it.
That's horrible.
yeah, those
I'm
are-
so sorry that happened to you.
It was fine.
And that's an interesting top 5. I've seen every single one of them except for the last one, which I'm now interested in checking out.
I don't want to watch that movie again, so that you can do that on your own.
Good to know. Thank
I
you.
definitely don't want to watch that movie
Okay,
again.
that's fine. Now, V, do you have a top 5?
I do. I made my little list.
Okay, sure.
So, every year around Halloween, I always watch the same movies because they're my favorites.
I feel like I can name most of them.
Do you want to take a guess, and I'll let you know if it's right?
Okay.
Did you look at my list? Did you cheat?
I did not look at your list.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say
I can't read your.
Oh.
I know one for a fact, and I know this for a fact because you just posted on Foodies Watching Movies Facebook about how a specific actor from the specific film dressed
Yeah.
as herself in that film, which is Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, every year I watch Hocus Pocus because I fucking love it. It was an amazing Disney
I
movie
want
from the
Ernest
90s.
Scared Stupid to be on there, but I know it's not.
It's not on
Damn
my
it.
list. No, but I was super pleased that Bette Midler dressed up as her character
I
for
saw
Halloween this year at some party, some fancy
Did
pants
you
party.
watch the Hocus Pocus Heathens cover?
Yes.
That was really good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. Have you seen it? Know that song Heathens they used in Suicide
21
Squad?
Pilots, yeah.
Yeah. So some people did a mashup of like the three people from Hocus Pocus singing a combination of that Hocus Pocus song they sing at the party with the Heathen song, and it's
Dope.
really cool.
Huh, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, we'll have to listen to that.
I can't name any more on your list. I just knew Hocus Pocus.
Are you sure?
For sure.
You don't even want to venture a guess
I should venture a guess. Huh?
based on the information you know about me and my Halloween routines?
Yeah.
Can I throw out one?
Yeah.
Would Saw be on that list?
No, we were talking about Saw over lunch today, though. Why were we talking about Saw? Oh,
we're-
because you showed us that trailer for that ridiculously
Oh.
creepy movie.
Oh, the
Would You Rather.
Would
the
you rather?
which
It was
like
that
a-
on Netflix?
Yeah, it's probably on Netflix. It was when I watched it. I don't know if it's still up there.
Well, it reminded us of Saw, and that's why we were talking about Saw. But no, Saw's not on my list. I'll just go ahead and say every year I watch Hocus Pocus because it's one of my favorite movies, and I loved that shit when I was little.
Oh my god, there's another one I think I know, but I can't think of the name of the movie. Like I know the scenes, I'm seeing it in my head. We watched it together. Is Slither one of them?
Yes,
Okay,
Slither.
yes.
Slither is definitely in my top favorite, like my top 5 favorite Halloween movies. definitely my favorite James Gunn movie.
More than Guardians?
Yeah,
Come on
I
now.
love this movie because it's so damn funny. It's so weird
Meat.
because it's like and Michael Rooker is in it and he's perfect. It's so good. Everybody needs to go and watch Slither right now.
Meat.
And
Is it on Netflix?
it's got the dude from Firefly and Castle, Nathan Fillion's in it. I love him. And Elizabeth Banks is in it, and she's hysterical.
It's a good cast.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Oh,
really
it's-
great. It's super great. And I don't know why not a lot of people have seen this movie. I don't get it. It was a hilarious movie. It's about like space slugs that like infect the townsfolk of this like super backwoodsy, dirty town and turns them all into parasitic zombies.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's so good. It's so good. Everybody needs to watch Slither. So that's definitely on my list. My other one is, we already talked about, American Psycho.
Should have.
I don't know why this movie is like super poignant in my life right now. It keeps popping up. Like, we just watched this. We're singing a song, American Psycho. Like, it's just, my feelers are up and I'm
like
seeing
resonating
it everywhere.
it,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I wanted to dress up as Patrick Bateman for Halloween, like with a raincoat. But
Where would you get a costume for that?
I couldn't find a raincoat
The
anywhere.
store.
A clear raincoat.
I couldn't find anything about that. So my other one is Interview with the Vampire.
Oh, I didn't even think
Oh,
about
that's a good movie.
That's
I
my
knew you-
favorite Anne Rice novel because I've read all of her novels. I love them. And that one is my favorite. And I loved Kirsten Dunst in it. And it's like the only thing that I loved her in. And Brad Pitt was magical. It was great.
And Tom Cruise.
And God, I can't stand Tom Cruise, but man, was he great in that movie.
See, I think
He
of
was
Tom Cruise,
dead
and
on.
all I can think of is Tropic Thunder,
Well,
because that
That's-
character is.
that's you. I watched this movie when it came out, like in 1990. What was it, 3 or
That was just
94?
on TV the other day too. I watched part of it.
Yeah.
It's a good movie to watch irregularly. Like just every so often, just put that in.
Well, that used to be like my night movie when I was like a gothy little teen. So I watched that shit like every day for literally years,
You know,
just
it's-
like in the background or at night. So I loved that movie. It was super, super fancy and dramatic.
I have an interesting story about Interview with a Vampire.
Ooh, do tell.
So I didn't see this like when I was younger, when it came out in the 90s. I didn't see it. But when I was like 17, 18, my buddy, whose mom owned a antique shop, he's like, hey, man, you'll never believe what my mom got brought into the shop today, and she just told me to bring it home. And I was like, what? And he's like, Laserdisc player. So we hooked up a Laserdisc player, and one of the only movies he had was Interview with a Vampire,
Oh,
which
that's
we
weird.
watched on Laserdisc.
wow.
That's cool.
You know, it is very cool. We got those big, they're like giant CD-ROMs.
Huge
And
CDs.
they
Yeah.
flip, side one, side two.
I
Yeah.
don't think I ever watched anything that was on Laserdisc.
It's bizarre.
I think I've seen a Laserdisc. I just don't think I've ever watched.
I mean,
it.
if they'd have been smaller, they would have been. I mean, they are DVDs. If
Right.
they would have been smaller.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's what I have for that. What's your last one?
My last one is my other favorite, The Shining. I watch it every Halloween season, and inevitably I'm always watching it alone, which creeps
Nay,
me
nay.
out.
You want to watch it tonight?
Sure.
Okay.
I can watch it anytime. I love this movie. And I love the book, and I love that they're so completely different from each other because I know like Stephen King says that he hated the movie The Shining because Stanley Kubrick completely changed so many important details from the book. And the book was super scary. Scariest book I
yeah.
ever read. Super, super scary. Great book. And I just loved Stanley Kubrick's version of it too. Like it was so good, and Jack Nicholson was perfect in it. I thought that was perfect casting. And I remember like being in high school and taking a film lit class, and we had to study The Shining for its color symbolisms and everything. So it's really fun to go back and watch that movie, as an adult and be like, oh yeah, they're trying to be super symbolic here with their reds and
Did
their...
you see the Stephen King made miniseries that he made of The Shining, like his version?
I did. He hated the movie version so much that he funded and he produced a miniseries on TV, and it was very close to the book, but
It doesn't have the Stanley Kubrick.
But Stephen King just puts out, I mean, no offense to Stephen King, he's an amazing writer, but anything that he's like, any film thing he's done has always been super B-movie cheesy and just like not the best acting and production. I mean, I'd watch it again, but it was like 10 fucking hours.
Yeah, those miniseries.
And it had like a bunch of like smaller named actors like that do TV miniseries, you know.
But it on the other hand.
But it was definitely closer to the book, and it's worth watching if you like The Shining.
The Shining makes me think of episode 0 because Twister has scenes from
Oh yeah,
The Shining.
Yeah, that was
So-
definitely,
And that makes for scary movie watching.
and I was going to say that definitely would fall into. Later on, we were going to talk about like memorable Halloween movie scenes or death scenes or whatever. And that scene from The Shining with the 2 little girls in the hallway, and like the little boy is riding his tricycle down the hallway. And just like the sounds that his little bike is making on the hardwood floor and then onto the carpet, and then the gong, and there's like these little dead girls. It's horrific.
Yeah.
Super scary.
Super creepy.
That shit stays with you.
Just never unsee the old woman. Just can never
Oh, in the
unsee.
tub? Oh, I know. The Shining, like we could do a whole episode just talking about The Shining.
I'd be up for that.
Because it's so good.
I'm game. We're planning for
Coming
next Halloween.
soon.
Yeah. We'll do a standoff
We'll
episode
just
about
watch
that.
it after this episode. We won't tell them. We'll
Yeah,
film
so
the whole we'll do the whole episode and then just release it a year later.
That was my list. And also, I will say that there was a movie on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. I think it's called Room 237. And it's a documentary about The Shining and all the weird like
Oh, about the Stanley
conspiracy.
Hotel.
No, not about the hotel. Just about the movie, the making of the movie, and how intense it was for Shelley Duvall and Stanley Kubrick and production costs and all these things. But it's like a lot of conspiracy things about this movie as well. So if you're into
Interesting.
that kind of thing, I think it's called Room 237.
I love a good conspiracy.
You would love
story.
this movie.
So we should check that out. Is it my turn for top
Yes,
5?
what's your list?
Goodness. Okay, so I have listened to Puhrboy's list. I've listened to your list. I have not thought for 1 second, so I'm riffing right now. These are just the ones that pop into my brain as my
Okay.
absolute favorite.
Like
top
what could you
5.
watch over and over every
Okay.
Halloween?
So, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, hands down one of the best Freddy stories because it takes place in the real world.
Oh, was that the
And they are actors, you know. They think, so you're just an actor. Robert Englund is Robert Englund in the movie. The lady that plays Nancy
I
portrays
never saw
herself.
that movie.
I heard
But
good
then
things
Freddy
about
comes to life, and it's like them being
course he
real
does.
people fighting this idea of Freddy that's kind of haunted them because they've had to deal with him as a character and do these movies, and you never think how it psychologically messes you
Does
up.
Robert Englund play Freddy
Both.
as well? Oh,
He plays both himself and Freddy, and it's super visceral. I would also say,
I'm surprised no one said the Addams Family because we are watching that right now, and this
Nah.
is like one of my favorite Halloween
It's-
movies too. It's like
It's
great
sort of-
for a background.
it'd be like my it'd make in my top 20. I don't know where it would place, but it probably wouldn't be it wouldn't make it probably in my top 10.
I know my next one.
Okay, what is
For
it?
sure. I'm over here looking at my movies, so my brain works better. Saw 2. I know you guys thought Saw 1 for sure was making the list. Maybe not. We'll see. But Saw 2 had a really cool story for me. I love that it's the idea.
I love that you're just standing
that-
up right now.
Well, I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm doing what I can, right? But
He's crooning up there.
Yeah.
Saw 2 is like... Oh, and that one too. Okay, cool. I got my next 2. Okay, so Saw 2 is really awesome because the story is like everybody having to work together, and if you just do what you're told, everything will be fine, and that's the whole lesson is just do what you're told and everything's cool. And then that's not the same lesson as Saw number 1. And that's why I think the movies in general are pretty cool. I have almost every single Saw movie, and I
Was
did
that the
like
one
the
where
series.
like if they would have done everything as a group, they would have been fine?
Well,
Or
kind
Or
of.
is that like the one where like is that the one that has you have to give blood at the end?
No, that's 6.
That's 6.
I'm pretty sure that's 6.
God, there's like a million of these movies.
No,
They all kind of blend
2 was
I only
where
saw
they
the
start
first
off in
one.
the small room together. Everybody's in the small room together, and the one dude walks to the peephole to see what's going on and tries to turn the handle, and it says not to do that, and it
and
shoots him through the eye. And then like one of the Wahlbergs is in it. I think it's Donnie Wahlberg is in the movie as the main lead, and his character kind of carries the lineage of the story further past the second movie. Next on the list, so shocked nobody has said this one yet. Hi. 7.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? Brad
Damn,
Pitt,
that
Morgan
movie's
I
Freeman,
good.
guess I
Kevin
just never
Spacey.
thought or like it was a psychological thriller more
Yeah,
than like
it's
a
not
scary
like a
movie.
horror movie or
But
something.
I just
It does-
associate the time with
Yeah, it doesn't
that.
mess with your.
Now this one's bizarre on my top 5. How about 13 Ghosts?
Oh, I remember that
I have not
movie.
seen that
In that
movie.
glass house.
Oh man, what's up?
They were in that like glass house or something.
Mechanically glass house.
Yeah, I remember that movie.
Matthew Lillard gets cut in half through the door. The door just shuts him in. Shannon Elizabeth is in that as well. Mm-hmm. I like that movie. That movie always makes me
There were
think
some
of
really great costumes in that
Ghost
movie.
Ship. Also,
That movie
Ghost
makes me
Ship.
think of Ghost Ship too.
yeah, those two kind of go hand in hand.
Uh-huh.
Although Ghost Ship's probably not on the list.
It's definitely not on my
original
list.
Nightmare on Elm Street is 4. That was me.
Okay.
And then, which Nightmare on Elm Street we've already kind of discussed why it's great. It's a phenomenal film.
Mm-hmm.
Can't top it. 5 is Paranormal Activity. You said my pick. My story for Paranormal Activity is why it's on my list.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you know this about me. I know you haven't heard this story. So, Brando gets married in 2008 on Halloween. And we have an option. Because the wedding party has decided that after the wedding, we're all going to go see a movie in the theaters. And we have 2 choices, Saw 5 or Paranormal Activity. And I was like, fuck it, we'll watch Paranormal Activity. I didn't know anything about this movie. I had not seen a trailer. I had no idea. I saw nothing. Okay, so I walk into this movie completely blind to it. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the movie, I thought that it was a fucking documentary. And I was in my head convinced that this had really happened to people because it's just the way it's shot. And like I said, I had no
The found footage.
no
And
idea.
it says based on a. Doesn't it say like based
Yeah.
on a true story.
Well,
It
wouldn't
does.
you think, they wouldn't actually air this in theaters if it was
Not
real?
true because
But if you're in that mindset, you can. It's very believable.
it is very believable.
I will say that movie was very believable. It was super creepy.
Like the Ouija board gets set on fire, and I was just like, "Fuck that! Not fucking with Ouija boards ever again." I haven't touched one since, like
Oh my
legit,
God.
you know. But that movie was bizarre because we watched it in theaters. We all leave the theater and no one says a word. We're all just kind of like in shock, you know. And I'm like, guys, I'm like, Brando, I know I said I'd drive home after this, but fuck that. It's dark out and I don't want to be in the dark by myself, you know? So I went over to their house and we stayed up till like 5 a.m. But you would think, oh, you just
Wait.
went on.
On their wedding?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They told us, they're like, come over. Because it was like me, Wes, Rob,
That's
and
cool.
a couple other people. And then obviously Kate and Brando.
So their anniversary is tomorrow?
Uh-huh.
Oh, well,
Which
happy
would be
anniversary, guys.
6 years together, Brando and Kate. So happy 6-year anniversary tomorrow, yesterday, whenever
Mazel
you.
tov.
October 31st of 2016 is when we're talking about for you
Correct.
future watchers or listeners.
Whatever.
But so I stayed over there and we even looked it up. Like, was the movie real? Like, was it a documentary or not?
Yeah.
And we found out that it was not, in fact, real. And it still messed with me. And then I was like, well, I got to show people this movie. It's like, it fucked me up. What is it going to do to other people?
Oh my God.
So I showed Sarah and Dad, and they were tripped down about it too, you know. But I never saw any Paranormal Activities outside of the first one. Yeah.
Oh, I saw all of them except for the one that just came out.
The Ghost Dimension one.
I didn't see that one.
I
I
liked-
just saw the
The one that took place in the past was pretty good.
first 3.
So I don't know if that was the second or third one. The one that took place.
They were all creepy.
Like-
I don't like watching scary movies anymore, honestly. Ever since I had my son, I feel like I can't watch that shit
It,
anymore.
like, desensitized you to being... Yeah.
You know, and just
Oh.
being alone a lot,
I
it's
gotta
like
mention
it's hard
another
to do
movie.
that.
Sure, bring it up. Honorable mention.
When you mentioned Matthew Lillard, it
Scream?
no,
Scooby-Doo.
no, Idle Hands.
Idle Hands,
Oh,
yes.
Idle Hands,
Weren't we just
nice.
talking about that movie?
That
I feel like I was talking about it with somebody.
because I kind of with this and then with frickin' thing.
What?
Christopher Lloyd.
Well, no, with the hand and Addams Family.
Oh yeah, Idle Hands.
It's just that movie was,
thing.
and then Seth Green, and it was just that's just a fun movie.
That was such a great movie. I loved Devin Sawa in that
frickin-
movie.
the
I
bagel
loved the
guillotine.
soundtrack to that movie. It had a great rock metal
Idle
soundtrack
Hands,
to
the
it.
Devil's Playing Field.
It was super cool. That was a good movie. It's a total stoner movie, stoner Halloween movie. Excellent honorable mention.
Good.
Well done.
Do you have a good honorable mention for Halloween time? Something that maybe didn't make your list, but you still enjoy?
Well, like I said, Addams Family. That's my honorable mention, and Addams Family Values, which is the second one, the sequel. Yeah, that one was a really good one too. I love Joan Cusack in that movie. I love Joan Cusack in general, so she can do no wrong in my
Do you like her
mind's
brother?
eye. I do. I like Joan Cusack a lot. Yeah.
Oh.
Does Nate have an honorable mention?
Yeah, I got to look at my movies real quick here. Sorry.
Cheater.
I don't mean to pass her up. So I have all these movies, and I've seen like all these movies, and it's hard. It's difficult to.
Sometimes I like watching Willy Wonka around Halloween because that's pretty creepy.
It's original.
Yeah, with
The-
Gene Wilder.
The Tunnel.
R.I.P. Oh, I do have an honorable mention. Speaking of Gene Wilder,
Okay.
Nate just bought us Young Frankenstein because I couldn't find my copy.
Oh, yeah.
Bingo.
That's
And he
a
got it
Blu-ray.
for $5, and we were so happy, and we watched
Young
it.
Frankenstein's a good movie.
Yes, it is. It is one of my favorite Mel Brooks movies. It is actually my favorite Mel Brooks movie. It was my night movie that I would watch at night when I was pregnant, so I watched it for like 10 months every night. So I got that son of a bitch memorized. But it's so clever and
What
funny
was
and
the-
silly and
What
weird.
was the name? Abby something.
Abby someone.
Abby Normal.
Abby normal.
Okay, so I just saw 2 honorable mentions, but I'm gonna go with the one that's gonna be more popular because if I say the other one, you guys are gonna think I'm just fucking weird.
Okay.
Army of Darkness.
Yes.
Duh.
Great movie.
My second honorable mention that was less obvious was number 23. I really liked that movie. It's creepy and fucked up.
Oh, the
Jim
Jim
Carrey,
Carrey,
yeah.
where his first. Yeah, that
What?
also was
Number
weird.
23.
The number 23. You never
Everyone gets
saw
obsessed about that number.
that? Because everything can break down to the number 23, and they play on it, and it's so fucking. It'll mess you
I
up.
don't think I ever saw that movie. It's super familiar sounding.
Very
Like I know the
visceral.
premise now, but I don't remember ever watching it.
Okay, so let's talk about some things you do remember, guys. Just maybe one to start out with. If you got a couple, we'll riff on them back and forth. Movie deaths, like major movie deaths from horror films, any kind of, just brutal. There are tons of brutal.
I've got a
gory-
couple.
Okay.
I was
with
thinking
her
about this, and we were talking about Scream earlier. Well, we breezed by Scream earlier, but I always remembered when Rose McGowan died in that garage door in the movie Scream. That was gross. I didn't like it, but it always stuck with me because it like showed her like face being crunched, and I'm like, oh, why?
yeah.
Why?
Ugh.
Yeah, that one stuck with me.
Now, I mentioned it earlier. Jason X has, in my opinion, the greatest murder sequence for a horror film ever. Because Jason X, he's laying there. He's, still in the cryostasis, they think. He's laying there, And then he sits up, and the girl doesn't realize it. And, they're in this future space lab or whatever. And they just happen to have a sink filled with, like, nitroglycerin. So Jason dunks her head in it, lifts her up, and then shatters her face on the counter because it freezes her face.
Nitrogen?
Liquid nitrogen, yes.
Okay.
Liquid nitrogen.
I was going to say,
my fault.
what? Why would it liquid glycerin?
No, liquid nitrogen. My fault.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's gross. That's definitely memorable.
Yeah, because he holds her down,
Yeah.
and then he lifts her up, and you can just see that her face is frozen, and she's still kind of there, and then he
Gross.
smashed it.
Another thing that stuck with us that we haven't touched on was the latest episode of The Walking Dead.
I was gonna bring it up. I'm so glad you did first, though.
Well,
Spoilers.
yeah, spoilers, guys. If you haven't seen the latest episode of Walking Dead, you probably shouldn't. But we watched it and we knew what was going to happen because we have been reading the comic books and we're all caught up on those. But Sarah didn't read the comic books and she was not ready for what happened last Sunday, so we ended up turning it off because it was too close to the comics, which I didn't appreciate.
It
I thought
actually was so
gratuitous.
close that it was a little much for
too
me.
close. Yeah, that's
like
what
I
my
said,
point
I
is.
knew it was gonna be that. Like I was expecting it. I was fully expecting everything. But I don't think it, and I even said this on Journey into Comics, episode 113, Vampire Bat, by the way. Shameless plug.
Hello.
Honestly, it was not seeing Glenn's eye popped out. It was not seeing his brains coming out of his dome. It was not seeing his little arm twitch after he was gone. Him trying to talk to Maggie fucked me up.
That's what fucked me up when I read the comic issue. What was that, issue 100?
100, yeah.
Yeah. When I read issue 100, that stayed with me for like a month
And they
after I
went-
read it. I was in a
and you
funk
know what's crazy?
because they killed off Glenn.
But they, and we, we shut it off and then came back and I watched the rest of it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of skipped past the scene, and apparently there's a line that the slowly dying Glenn says that's like really messed up fans, where after he says Maggie's name, he says, "I'll find you." Mm-hmm. Like, come on.
Because they always talk about how they find each other.
Yeah. And it's just...
super
They
awful.
just took it to
and
that
I don't.
extreme.
I feel like I don't want to watch The Walking Dead anymore, just because the comics are so good, and I feel like this show is just gonna mess it up.
It's just amazing they can show that on TV. Like,
Yeah, what
that's
they
not,
showed was
like,
so
not even on
graphic.
like, premium cable. It's just
And it didn't even look that bad because I knew it was coming. And as soon as that first hit came down with Lucille, you're like, okay, they're gonna show it and it's gonna be awful. And then it was like super not cartoony. I mean, it was well applied makeup effects, but it
It's
took
still-
away from it. That gratuitous nastiness took away from what it was.
It's weird because I feel like The Walking Dead to me now has transformed from like where it was a show that I could kind of dive into, and even though there's a lot of unbelievable aspects like the walkers and stuff, that it's taken a twist now where I'm gonna have to watch this from here on in, consistently telling myself these guys are just actors. These people are just actors. They're
Right.
not real. Because I do that with Game of Thrones. That way I'm
that
totally...
way you don't get emotionally involved.
Exactly.
Invested
Exactly.
in it. Mm-hmm.
But I liked Glenn, and I knew Glenn. I mean, it was fate, but yeah, that was very gross. Now, back to the movie side. Memorable deaths. AP, you?
Oh, I'm surprised we haven't really brought this up at all yet. But the deaths in the Final Destination movies,
Ew.
those are.
I always
the
think
most
about the tanning
graph-
bed one.
That one's
Yeah,
rough.
where she
got
Mine
fried
that
in the
always
tanning
gets
bed.
me is when the boy gets crushed by the pane of glass, and it just
Ew.
that drop and it just flattens
Yep.
him, and it's just
Now
Super
that movie
chunky.
totally messed
But that
me
movie,
up
like-
because when it came out, I watched it like the day before I flew on a like 20-hour flight to Australia when I was like 14.
and
And it was like a plane crash movie at the beginning, and
Right.
it freaked me out so bad.
have you seen all 5 of them?
I've only seen
I
the
saw
first
like
three.
the first two.
Oh, okay. Because it actually it closed the loop in the most beautiful way, which is pretty awesome.
See, the third one soured the whole series for me.
The third one
Because
wasn't.
the third one, they
was the
took
roller
Say
coaster.
Cheese and Die from the freaking Goosebumps books and then said it was Final Destination story.
That pretty much was the.
And it was like, come on.
I love that you just made that Goosebumps reference.
Say Cheese and Die. Do
Holla.
you remember that?
Yeah, I had tons of Goosebumps
But I mean,
books.
specifically the Say Cheese and Die
Yeah, it was
story.
the roller coaster one, right?
No, the Say Cheese and Die story was where the dad would take a Polaroid with the magic camera, and then like the picture would be the boy with the broken ankle, and they'd be like, "Wait, his ankle's not broken," and then his ankle would get broken,
Ew,
and it
yeah.
would like future
remember that.
predict.
Oh my god,
They made-
Goosebumps
they did
are
two- they
so
did two
rad.
Yep,
books
Say
of that.
Cheese and Die 2
I
was
remember
like
that was
I always
one
liked
of
the
my favorite
Haunted
Goosebumps
Mask.
books.
I have the first 60 Goosebumps still to this
Really?
day.
Awesome.
You should
Yeah.
go read one.
I just
Well,
like.
they're- Dad,
Oh, like when he
bring
stepped
them.
when he has the
Same.
nail going through his foot, and then
Yep. That is, yeah. I
yeah,
can't-
that, I did. Yeah, that is. They pretty much pulled that right into. But then
Those
they, pulled, then they
old
went away from it in
Goosebumps
4 and-
movies, those the TV show they had where they just like televised the
the
novels.
Haunted Mask.
I loved the Haunted Mask.
just like the-
It was so good. The mask was so good.
I just like the dude who plays the coroner in the Foundation movies because you're like pretty sure he's deaf.
Tony Todd.
Was also the voice of Zoom.
Yep.
Yeah, that voice just
He was also Candyman.
his voice could be in anything. He could be in anything too. He's
Hey,
good.
here's another honorable mention I'd like to mention.
Honorably.
Sure. I'm having trouble thinking of the name. What was the movie? It was like a vignette movie with all these like weird, unrelated Halloween time stories. Like, and then it culminated into one big scene with Anna Paquin was in it. She was like a werewolf secretly. Was it It's not Pumpkinhead or... Oh god, I can't think of it.
I don't know.
Okay,
You're gonna have to look it up.
I'm gonna have to Google it.
While
Sorry,
you're
guys.
looking that up though,
Hold, please.
that vignette movie made me think of the movie that's on Netflix now,
Cat's Eye?
Holidays.
Oh,
Holidays?
Yeah, it's a bunch of scary stories that are set on like every holiday, and like they had different directors come in. Like Kevin Smith directed a Halloween one that was super messed up, but like it was a bunch of these little tiny like 10-ish minute short films they put together that played out each holiday. Like it opened up with the holiday like they had the creepiest thing was they had one for Easter, which was a combination of like the common Easter rabbit and then still like the whole religious aspect of it. It was this weird amalgamation that was terrifying.
I found
it was
this
like-
movie. It's called Trick or Treat. This movie I was looking for.
good.
With Sam?
That's a great movie. This one.
Yeah, that's Sam.
Yeah, that was a good one. Trick or Treat was good. That was worth watching. Sorry I interrupted you.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
So, in Holidays, is there a crazy death sequence that you were going to bring up? Is there anything you can think of?
Yeah, there was where was it? Oh, it was Mother's Day. Cuz they did a weird thing about but it ended with literally like I could never, if I was a woman, I don't think I could have kids after that one. It's just like
Ew.
because like the whole thing was like every time she kept wanting to not have a baby, so she kept having like she kept getting rid of the kid. And apparently there was this weird thing with this culture about they kept coming back strong and ends up like just getting ripped out of. I'm like, oh no,
Ew.
this like almost looks like a full grown man's like arm. Like I'm like, no, that was terrifying.
Sounds like
And then
it.
just
That's
ended.
a big fat nope.
And then just ended. I was
For
like,
me.
what?
Oh.
No thanks.
Yeah, but there's some crazy deaths in that one too.
All right, guys. So I want to move us a little bit forward, talking about crazy deaths. There are some deaths in a movie we just watched today that were crazy and hilarious and bizarre.
Yeah, let's talk about what
and
we watched today,
strange
finally.
and different. And now you had seen this film prior.
Yeah, I've seen this movie one other time.
I have been a champion of this film since the first time I saw it. Mm-hmm. And
This
I
movie's
was
great.
so excited
Super funny.
to show it to somebody who hadn't seen it yet. AP, what did you think of Tucker and Dale versus Evil? Just unpack it as best you can, man.
It was hilarious. It definitely wasn't like when you first to the movie. I was not expecting that to be. You're like, oh, it's Alan Tudyk, and they're like, okay, and then it's like plays like it plays on every cliched like either horror movie or like teenage.
Yeah, this movie's a
Trip movie.
parody.
But like, it just messes with you. Like everything gets kind of spun on its head. You're like the people you think are gonna be like the bad guys are like the two nicest dudes you'll ever meet who are just just keep getting
They're
an
having a
unfortunate
doozy of a day.
They're having a doozy
They're having
of
a
a day.
doozy of a day.
And then these kids are just terrible people
Yeah.
and just still do the dumb kid things with like
The teen movie, like, classic stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Let's smoke weed, we're gonna
go
drink, we're
skinny
gonna
dipping in
go
the woods in
skinny
LA.
dipping in the woods at night alone. Yeah.
and
They're
Let's
like
tell horror
falling
stories around the
Yeah, they're
campfire.
falling into like all of the classic horror movie stereotypes, and then they somehow get turned into the villains. And this is a great movie. It's super weird and funny, and there's tons of like horrendous, random, awful death sequences. Like at one point, somebody gets head dives into a wood chipper, and you can't feel bad because the way that it's done was just super funny.
right
So you're like laughing at
'cause
some
they'll
guy's
introduce, like,
plight.
they would introduce a wood chipper in the middle like with
Yeah.
no reason like because like even Nate said during the movie like they're chipping perfectly good firewood in this cabin in
Right.
the woods.
Why
You're
would
like,
you do that? Like,
Well, because they needed a wood chipper in that scene. That's
Right,
why.
you said that too, Lee. Yeah, the first time I saw this movie, I was just utterly baffled by how hilarious it was because you said it plays on the parody thing.
yeah.
But while it does that, it doesn't do it in a kind of overly grotesque way. I'm not talking like how, was it Scary Movie, right?
Oh, yeah.
To Scream. There's all these parallels. They're trying to do the same scene for scene, but then they're adding comedic, just off-putting comedy in it to kind of make it a little less tense. This movie takes it a completely different turn because it's like, things aren't bad, but these kids make things bad because of what they have in their head.
Right.
What the preconceived notion of these other characters are, you know?
Just
So
like it's
they turn it, like they spin a story in their own head and they're essentially fighting themselves.
right.
Right.
'Cause all of it,
It's
like,
just a
the two
big
guys-
misunderstanding. This whole movie is just a big
the two guys end up with
miscommunication.
blood on their hands, but they never actually hurt anyone. Like they're
Right.
just like
It
like
was
when-
all accidents.
like
Whoops.
like, don't run with a giant serpent piece of wood. Like it's just,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know.
Yeah, some dude gets impaled in the
And like the
woods
person you don't think is gonna be the villain in the end becomes the villain. You're like, oh, Awesome.
Yeah, that I would definitely recommend this movie. How many pizza slices would we give it? Or should we say in this case, how many PBRs would we give it?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Because
They drink a lot of PBR in this movie.
I agree with
It's
that.
good for wounds.
Yeah, every
pours
wound
it
he
on
pours
his
it on
face.
his. Yeah. Okay, so how many PBRs would this movie get? I'm gonna go with 8.
With 8? Are we doing a 10 scale?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Thought we're doing it in 6-packs. No, it's like
Oh.
Man, they just keep going. Clever wordplay.
I think get it in a nice. I think on a first time viewing that movie, I'd say 1.5 6-packs. Like let's say 8 cans. 8 or
Wow.
10 cans.
I like that.
Okay.
Okay.
So an 8.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this a little bit differently and do a totally different reference. It's going to tie in another podcast here.
Okay.
And we're just, tethering
Go
all the
for it.
different podcasts. So, if I was grading Tucker and Dale versus Evil, do you guys remember, like, in the 90s when Stone Cold Steve Austin would come down to the ring and he would just throw his hand up and they give him beers, and then he would go up in the ring and he would chug the beers, and then he would go to another ring post and he would do the same thing over and over and over again?
Okay.
Like 4 rounds of that is how this movie makes me feel. Just going up on ring ropes, chugging the beers, going to another set of ring ropes, chugging more beers, going to another, chugging more beers, it's fun, it's zany, it's sincere.
It's
it has
super
a really-
genuine. It's got a great friendship message.
It does. It has a great story behind it,
About
while being
bros.
completely just bizarre.
Yeah,
I
it's a
don't
great
even
movie.
You don't even like fishing. You couldn't even hurt a fish.
So my friend Alan has given me some horrible, awful, no good movie review recommendations, but this one was Alan's recommendation, and we watched it, and it was so funny. Dale and Tucker.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah, it was great. That was one of his winning movies. This is also the same person who told me to watch that stupid fucking movie Rubber about the killer tire.
That movie was horrible.
That movie was super
It
horrible.
was the worst movie.
Can we talk about that? I'm happy there's going to be a sequel to Tucker and Dale.
Yes, absolutely. Let's bring it
Yeah,
up.
Nate, you mentioned that earlier. Do
I'm
tell.
pretty sure if I grab my telephono right now, I want to say Tucker and Dale versus Evil 2 comes out in early 2018 or late
So
2017.
they're probably filming it next year sometime.
That's super exciting. I'm pleased
So
because they set it up nicely for a sequel years down the road.
if I go back here and if I just do Tucker and Dale vs. Evil 2, a second thing here. So
I'm so
as
glad
of
Addams Family is on right
March
now.
22nd of 2016, so that's within this year.
Mm-hmm.
HorrorFreaksNews.com reports that if you haven't seen Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, you're missing one of the greatest horror comedy hits, comedies to hit the public in a long time. Stellar, blah, blah, blah. Tyler Labine, who played Dale, and Alan Tudyk, who played Tucker, who star the titular characters in Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, are more than interested in seeing a sequel come to life. They've had next to nothing in regards to details, but they said that it's on its way soon. So I would say, yeah, look for that in the next year or so.
That would be wonderful. I'd be super pleased.
It'll be
I
super
can't
bizarre.
wait.
And great. And different.
So I also wanted to take this opportunity to mention that since it's Halloween and this is Foodies watching movies, we've been making a lot of pumpkin-flavored things around here. We've been making a ton of pumpkin spice cupcakes with like this amazing cream cheese frosting. And I went to Sur La Table and got that pumpkin emulsion. So I've been putting that in so many different things, and it's magnificent.
It's doable.
Yeah,
You know?
from Sur La Table. Fancy
Yeah.
pants.
Well, I mean, pumpkin spice is every white girl's fantasy.
Well, it's basically the best.
It's basically the best. Of course you would say that.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh, and we also made a treat. One of my friends was getting married and asked me to make some treats for a party she had. So I made some peanut butter, butterscotch, Rice Krispie treats covered with butterscotch and chocolate ganache. And it was really, they looked great. They tasted good.
I'm sure
They got a
did.
good review. She liked them.
Well, that's awesome. Now, you're talking about food reviews.
Yeah.
We are foodies watching movies now. Again, here we go. I'm tethering yet another podcast to our podcast.
Okay.
When Brandon had Sorta Live podcast, the thing that they would do is they would try something new on every episode that neither him nor Rob had tried before. Today, we tried something. Hand me that bottle, please. I want to just make sure I'm saying and reading this ship correctly. So today we tried Fentiman's Cherry Tree Cola. It's botanically brewed, fermented botanical cherry drink with ginger and herbal extracts. Thoughts?
It was super floral.
It was
and spicy.
It was.
And gingery.
It kind of tastes like they took like a spiced cherry candle and dropped it into like a can of Coca-Cola.
That's exactly how it tasted. It tasted like a Coke flavored candle.
Now, I tasted the smell of Bed Bath & Beyond or like something. It just tasted like candle.
Or
Yeah.
like Bath and Body Works.
Bath & Body Works,
No,
yeah,
they
probably.
come in these really cool, vintagey, like squat looking bottles. And they've got cool labels, and I mean, I dig it. It's kind of hipstery, I'm not going to
What's
lie.
the glass bottle part of it say?
Botanically brewed. That's what it says. Botanically brewed. Ingredients are like super basic. Like it's like better for you than I guess some of the other pops. I mean, it's just it's fermented ginger root, water, cola flavor, cherry flavor, caffeine.
Of
Super
course,
basic.
they had to throw the caffeine in.
Yeah, it's got a ton of sugar in it, 32 grams of sugar. I don't know. I don't think I'd buy it again. This brand also does a rose-flavored lemonade that comes in the really cool bottles, too, and that's delicious. We really liked that. Yeah, but we found it at Target.
Okay, so you found this at Target.
Yeah.
Discounted.
It was on
Okay.
clearance, yeah.
So before we move forward, I want to get a review on this. I don't know if we'll do like 5 thumbs up because it's pop, yo.
Okay.
Thoughts?
I'd have to give it a 3.
3. Yeah.
Because I've
solid 3.
I've had worse. I've had better. It was
It was different.
different, but it didn't really wow me one way or the other.
Is this one yours?
No. Oh, I finished mine.
Oh.
That's yours. I moved it onto the coaster.
Like it's just
Can I have one last sip of that just to on air be able to give a fresh
Yeah,
take?
you nailed it, man. It tastes just like a cherry-flavored candle, a Coke candle. Yeah. I mean, it's nice,
is.
but I don't want to drink a whole lot of
like
it.
if I had more than
super
one of those at a
sweet.
time, I would probably get sick. I feel like the sweetness and the taste would just
Right.
I would not want to. I'd need like water in between.
Fermented. You know what it is? It's the fermented ginger in it.
It gets you in the nose. It
It's like
opens up your
it's
sinuses.
spicy. It's like kind of burning my tongue a little bit.
Like if you get really finishing a 6-pack of those, you would just feel your
Sick.
tongue would feel like burning. It would just not be pleasant. But
Miserable.
for one drink, it would probably be like one.
If
drink
you want to
once
be
in
a
while would
little
probably be okay.
fancy hipster, then get these drinks because the bottles are cool and they taste kind of fun and different. But you're not going to want to drink a whole one.
Maybe if you're mixing it with something alcoholic, it might be okay.
Oh, there you go.
interesting.
There you
SoCo.
go.
That
That'd be
is
really
Or some
sweet,
cherry
though.
whiskey. Yeah, some kind of cherry whiskey,
That'd be
maybe.
really sweet, but it wouldn't be bad.
Amaretto.
Something.
Yeah.
All right, so 3. I'm gonna go 2.5. It didn't
Yeah.
really wow me. I think there's something with it tastes like flat pop to me. I think that's the one thing.
Yeah,
it's not
it's a-
carbonated enough.
Right. It's not carbonated enough. It's a little flat tasting, especially after it's been like
'Cause when
getting
you
more
twist it
room
off,
temperature.
It didn't really fizz up right
It
away.
didn't.
It was just
Right.
I mean, and you got to think, you got this at like Target for what, $3? Discounted.
No, they were like $6. Weren't they?
I think they were 3.
Maybe they were 6 originally and they were on clearance for
Clearance
like
for 3,
3.
yeah.
Yeah.
But clearance. Speaking of clearance, not tomorrow.
Tuesday.
Future tomorrow, Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Past Tuesday
Tuesday, November 1st.
of 2016.
What's Tuesday? Why are we talking about Tuesday?
Because that's major
off.
discount candy day, baby.
And all the decorations.
All Halloween candy and decorations and costumes will be on clearance because it's time to move to the best, most important season of seasons,
Thanksgiving?
Christmas time.
Oh, no,
Because they're gonna
Thanksgiving.
They skipped it. They already skipped it. They're already Christmas trees at
I
places.
saw
Ew.
Christmas decorations up tandem with Halloween, so I'm like, they can't touch.
Can I just say that it's super annoying that people get super excited about Christmas literally before Halloween has even happened? I understand Christmas is magical and fun. Yes, I'm excited about that, but I don't want to be excited about it until it's cold and snowy, like in December.
Right.
Okay.
Because I love Thanksgiving. That's my favorite holiday.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, I
On this
cannot wait for
podcast,
Thanksgiving.
putting
Oh.
a bunch of pounds on for this Thanksgiving, like 4 in a row.
Oh, I plan on gaining at least 10 pounds.
I mean, I think there's 4 or 5 Thanksgivings we're having in a row, though. Like, for real.
Yeah, we're having a lot of Thanksgivings this year.
Because,
never have too many.
Anthony has brought up to me
Friendsgiving.
that he wants to do Friendsgiving that Sunday.
Oh, man, that's a lot of Thanksgivings.
That's why I'm saying, yeah.
God, I love Thanksgiving. I'm totally down.
Oh, God. Just in a day,
So many potatoes for days.
Thanksgiving leftovers are probably the best leftovers you can ever
They
have.
are. We had the best leftovers last year, remember?
Yeah.
Like, you just pull cold turkey out of a Tupperware and just,
We're future tripping into the next holiday, and we haven't even discussed. What's your favorite Halloween candy? Or candy in general, really, I guess.
Yeah,
That's
we're going to have a lot of candy left over because I never get trick-or-treaters at my house, and I bought a couple bags of candy. So we're going to have to, like, make something with it, like bars or cookies or
I'd have
something.
to divide it up because my favorite chocolate-based candy would have to be a Three Musketeers.
Ooh.
My favorite chocolate-based candy would have to be a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
My favorite chocolate-based candy is Butterfinger, baby.
Love it. Mm-hmm. Now, if you were
But
to jump...
I always prefer candy over chocolate, though. Like, I love
That's
Airheads.
how I am.
So now, your favorite candy-based candy, not chocolate-based.
Airheads.
Ooh, I'd have to go with Sprees.
Sprees are good.
Oh, I haven't had Sprees in forever.
I used to always get those chewy
The chewy Sprees, yeah,
Oh,
from like
I'm
the
feeling
candy
that
machines.
texture in my mouth right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like it makes my mouth water a little bit because they're so tart at first. My little son loves going to the dollar store just to buy Sprees from the vending machine.
Oh, you get the little... You
Like,
just
I
turn
take
and
them
get
for
like,
walks.
Get like 10
Just
of
for
them, and you're
that.
like, yeah.
Yeah, I just give him like 2 quarters and then we'll take a walk and go to the dollar store and get candy.
I feel
He
like,
loves it.
Veronica, you could guess my candy-based candy that I like.
Can I?
Over all candies, there's one.
I don't know.
Sour Patch Kid watermelon.
Oh, yeah, you do like those. Those
Out
are
of
good.
this world. I can
Those
eat
are
an entire
good.
bag of those in like 4 minutes.
I can't eat more than like 2 of
Sounds
them though, because they get that
Probably like Warheads
tartness.
too, didn't you?
I love
Oh my God, do you remember Warheads? And
Cash walked up to me the other day and he just goes, "Here, man, got a prize for you," and gave me a
No
Warhead
way.
and then ran back
Cash
inside.
gave you a Warhead?
Yeah.
I'm so glad we have an 8-year-old in our lives that can give us Warheads.
I know that was a great gesture from him.
Excellent.
That was an absolutely
Yeah,
great
I remember
gesture.
those from elementary school, and man, were they sour. And you were like the
Then they were
baddest of
delicious.
asses
Once the
if you
sour
could
was
do like
gone,
the
then they
black and
became
white
so
ones.
much better too. Like if you didn't like the sour, as soon as you got past it, they got really good.
Favorite Warhead.
I don't know, but I feel like my mouth being ripped apart right now
strongest
just
one
thinking
was
about
the-
them.
was the
I thought the
Lemon?
blue was the
The
strongest.
lemon, was it lemon?
Wasn't
yeah,
it?
yellow lemon.
Yeah, that one always had some.
I don't know.
But
Whenever
I like lemon, so I always gravitated towards that one, and that one always got me.
whenever I ate the blue ones, the blue cherry or the blue raspberry ones or whatever, it would literally like acidically melt the skin off the inside of my mouth. I could peel it off.
That's what it does. It's
You know.
pure freaking chemicals. Speaking of delicious chemical candies from the 90s, do you remember those bubble jugs? They were pink jugs filled with powder and little pieces of bubble gum, and that powder was so freaking good.
Just,
I wish they still made that because I loved that. I just got like
Pop
taken back.
Rocks.
Pop Rocks are cool.
My son just tried Pop Rocks for the
I
first
remember
time.
That was dope. That was awesome.
That was
one's
super
more just to put
funny.
A bunch
He
in
was
your mouth
super
and just walk around
excited.
people and just hear the.
Yeah, open your mouth and let it sizzle.
Yeah.
Remember, people
Yeah.
would say the urban legend: "Don't drink Coke and have Pop Rocks; it'll kill you."
You'll blow up or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I gotta know. We're winding down here. Halloween plans. Did you do anything this Halloween? Are you doing anything this Halloween? Have you done anything? What did you dress up as? If you wanted to dress up as anything, V, did you want to start? You want AP to start?
I can start.
Sure.
Fine. I do not like dressing up for Halloween anymore because I'm getting older and I just don't feel like as into it as I used to. So I just wore a headband that had kitty ears on it. They were little like pink rose kitty ears. But I wore those for our gig we had last night, and that was fun.
That was an interesting night, to
That
say
was
the least.
it was an interesting night.
I think last night kind of resonated with, and I'm sorry I have to say this on air in front of people that are going to hear us, but we're getting old. Because last night kind of had a curveball, and that's a double entendre curveball thrown our way. Because we get to the show, we're going to set up at 6, we're going to be performing at 9. We get there, and the promoter goes, hey man, I just wanted to let you guys know I forgot to tell anybody, we're not starting any music at all until the Cubs game is over.
Right. So we weren't going to end up going on until like 10:30.
Well, it would have been 10 if we were the first band.
Right.
But then some other fucking band bullied us out of our spot and said,
well, they
we
said
want to
they
open.
wanted to open, and we're just like, whatever, that's fine. So they open, and then we just, our band, our little punk rock piano Misfits tribute band got like sandwiched between two like black metal bands, and it was just a very interesting group of
well, to go from
sounds,
like
you know?
guttural growls that
Yeah.
you can't
I
understand
mean, it was cool.
to
I was
like,
digging it. I was jamming it.
Oh yeah, we had a great time.
Yeah, we had a good time. It was just a really funny show, I suppose, being, you know, a punk band versus, you know, a dark black metal band. So it was an interesting way to spend my Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I loved singing the Misfits with you guys. It was super fun and
Always is.
silly, and yeah, it was cool. I dug it. Tomorrow, which is actually Halloween, I'm going to take my son trick-or-treating. He's going as Marshall from Paw Patrol, and he was super stoked when I gave him his costume. He liked that.
And then he had a meltdown because he broke it.
Well, he tore a little piece of the collar
Paw
off.
Patrol,
It's an animated show on Nick Jr.
are they puppies?
Yeah, they're dogs, and they are
A rescue team.
they're rescued pups. It's the worst. Oh, but he loves it so much. So he's going to be Marshall from Paw Patrol, and I'm going to take him trick-or-treating tomorrow.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, what are you going to do for Halloween? What have you been doing?
Last night, I went to a Halloween party at a friend of mine's house. They had a little get-together. So my girlfriend and I dressed up as Bob and Linda from Bob's Burgers. So I spent the last, like, month and a half growing a pretty big mustache. I showed you guys the picture.
That's amazing.
And then I shaved all the beard off, just left the mustache. And
I didn't see the picture. You must have shown Nate.
oh, okay. I'll have to show
phone
you
was
later.
having drama.
My phone was being stupid. But so we did that, and then we ended up going out to some bars and saw some pretty interesting people. I think people probably in their 20s, when they dress up to Halloween to go out drinking, they get some really weird costumes.
Yeah.
Like, literally there was someone dressed as Jared Fogle with an inflatable child strapped to the front of them.
Ew.
I was like, that is not okay.
That's
you can't
awful.
do that. It was very
Oh,
bad.
Halloween.
I was like, people need to not do that kind of stuff. But then I saw a Colonel Sanders and a bucket of fried chicken as a couple costume, and then everything was right with the world again.
The guy was
Sweet.
Colonel Sanders. She was the bucket of chicken.
Yes,
Nice.
that is awesome.
How
Yeah.
about you, Nate?
Well, obviously, we had the show last night. We
Yeah.
talked about it a little bit. Cool experience. First time playing that place. I liked it. Probably give out some candy on Halloween Day. It's weird because Halloween trick-or-treat now is like 5 o'clock. It's so early.
Yeah, it's super early.
And we got.
I remember when I was little, trick-or-treating started when it got dark.
Now I want
Now
to
it's
say
like ending when it gets dark.
I want to say there's one thing though about trick-or-treat that I got to talk about is this tradition that goes on in this house is that Sarah's dad, for whatever reason, his own accord, every year decides that he's going to get us Halloween candy to pass out. But he doesn't get like a Mars Bars variety pack or anything great. He gets the shitty like all Tootsie Rolls candy with like the 3 boxes of dots in the 3.5 pound bag, which we ate 2 of. Actually,
Not
right
me.
here. So
I
look,
didn't eat 2.
Look. All that's left are Tootsies and Tootsie Pops.
Tootsie Pops are the best.
And then there's
though.
also the different flavored like lemon Tootsie
The
Roll
fruit
or the
Tootsie
fruit
Rolls.
The orange aren't
I
bad.
like those. I like the
oranges are
fruit
bad.
Tootsie Rolls. I don't like Tootsie Rolls, though. Just the fruit ones.
Tootsie Pops are pretty good.
Yeah.
I keep seeing the original Tootsie Pop commercial on TV now with the owl from like the 70s or 80s or something. And it's like, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
3. The world might never know.
Yeah. I keep seeing that randomly.
Yeah. So
When I was watching the Cubs game, it was on, I think.
cool.
I don't remember.
So I will say that there's one last thing I want to give our audience. We are foodies watching movies, and I feel like we've not done a really good job of like giving like great cooking tips or anything. And I came up with a method on my own accord, and maybe someone else came up with it too, and I just have not stumbled upon that person. Oh, Jesus, I've hit the tray. That happened to me on episode 50 of Journey into Comics. So that was really bizarre.
Okay, what were you talking about?
So sometimes in inclement weather, it's difficult to get your grill out. Sometimes you want to have grilled hot dogs.
Yes, this is what we had for dinner
Sometimes
tonight.
you want to jam a delicious hot dog with some char on it.
Yeah.
You know? And that's difficult to do if you don't have a fire,
Yeah.
or B, a place to put a fire.
Well, I can't stand microwave hot dogs. It's awful. And
Boiled
we don't
hot
like
dogs are not
boiling
that
hot
good.
dogs. We love grilling hot dogs because you get that like grill char mark on it. You can throw some barbecue sauce on it and it's
So
diggity dope.
I'm going to tell the people the best
Hot
way.
diggity dope.
Hot diggity dog dope. So I'm going to tell the people my little method
Yeah.
to very easily and intelligently have grilled hot dogs in your house. So you're going to get a skillet, turn your fire on, put your skillet on the
How
fire.
hot?
You know,
Was it on medium?
it was like at 8
Medium
of
heat?
10.
So
So
it was on
medium
high.
high.
It was medium high.
Medium high.
And then what
heat.
you're going to do is you're going to take some cooking spray. You could probably alternately use butter if you're really feeling it, but I think
don't know.
cooking spray would be
The
better.
cook-
I haven't tried
the
with
smoking
butter.
point on butter's dinner.
Yeah,
Different.
that's true. So cooking spray, spray the pan. Put all your hot dogs in it. Let them start to sizzle. You're going to hear it. It's a sound, okay? It is. It's very important that you know,
I
the
know.
sound. They're
It's
going to dance a little
sizzling.
bit in the pan. They're going to be flopping around a little bit in the pan. You're going to just kind of move them around and just keep rotating them and let them just kind of turn on their own. As soon as you start the top sear, you want to, before you start any of the rotating, make sure to just coat the tops of those hot dogs with cooking spray again. It's going to give it a nice char throughout. It's going to cook really well. And then once you're done,
How long do you have to cook them?
I don't know,
How long were
just
they on?
until they're nice and charred.
Yeah.
You know,
You cooked them perfectly because they had some like bite to them, and they were really good.
You have to visually be able to see how charred you want them. Some
Yeah.
people like really charred hot dogs, other people don't. I like it
Yeah,
to
like
be
the cremators.
pockets of char. I don't want to eat a hot dog that's black.
Right.
You know.
You don't want one that's came straight from hell.
You know.
Same thing can be said for marshmallows.
Yes,
Yeah.
also true. I haven't tried that. Maybe that marshmallow trick that would work well.
I don't
with
know about.
marshmallows, too.
I don't know on the.
know.
I
That would melt.
feel like you'd end up with like a.
You need a
pan
broiler.
of marshmallow fluff.
That's okay.
Ooh, you know what I did do the other day that was awesome? I made boxed brownies from the store because my little kid wanted them. And then I took a bag of mini marshmallows and I put them on the brownies after I baked them and threw it under the broiler for like 2 minutes. And I made s'more brownies. They
Yum.
were delicious.
You left those with us.
Yes,
We
I
ate
did. I
some of
gave
them,
them
and I
to you.
smashed them so fast. Mm-hmm. They
Turned
were like
out really good.
They were like 8 brownies. I had 6.
That's a great like tip too. If you want to elevate your brownies, just throw some marshmallows on it under the broiler and make s'mores
And alternately, you could throw marshmallows on top,
of
and then
cupcakes.
on the brownies, and then crumble some graham, and
Oh,
then
yeah,
put it in
yeah.
the broiler to really
Definitely.
full blown elevate it. You know,
Yeah.
just going to the next level.
That is next level. Good
Of course
thinking,
it is.
Nate.
Well, that's my logic.
All right, well,
I think this was an amazing episode of Foodies Watching Movies. This is episode 3, even though it's technically our 4th episode. We did episode 0 to test and see what we thought about it.
yeah.
It's great to have you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be
I'm glad
back.
we did
Thank
this
you
for
making the
Halloween.
drive. We
Yes.
did a great Halloween episode. Hopefully Brando can get this up for us ASAP.
Yeah.
Like tonight, you know. But if not, no biggie. This is a good retrospective episode. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add before we, leave the viewers?
No, I just hope everybody has a wonderful and happy and safe Halloween.